Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Cup Chasers podcast. Brighton Hove Albion have hosted Manchester City. It was actually a pretty good game.
It
Was
was.
not disappointing at all. Wasn't the end of season exhibition you might think, but I certainly enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed it, go ahead and get the likes up. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and get that notification bell on. Yeah, like I say, Patrick, I thought this was a good one.
Yeah, it was. Man City went for it a little bit. Once they scored, they kind of pulled back a little bit, which I fully expected, and let Brighton have their chances. Brighton gets their goal. Everybody's happy. No complaints. At the Amex at all. I don't think really Pep really cared about this one.
I mean, he looked pretty animated on the sideline. I mean, as much as he always does.
Yeah, I mean, but he's a perfectionist. That's the best way to put it. He's a perfectionist. So even when he's like, that competitive spirit kicks in and it's like, no, we're not gonna.
Well, he still wants there's something to be said for him wanting, guys like Rico Lewis to come out and really give it a go, and like Calvin Phillips to really give it a go. Guys that don't get a lot of playing time to come in and show that they can be a part of the system for next season, and maybe be a bigger part next season. And I thought that Brighton really put them under pressure, like right from the rip. So very high press and really made them show their quality. And I thought at times City were under it.
Yeah.
Maybe you could speak on mentality, but that's why City are champions, because they have that winning mentality. And Brighton really, value for the draw really gave him a go.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton had something to play for, and they played pretty well. Was it Caicedo that almost hit an absolute gorgeous goal? He just pushed it wide. I want to say it was. But I mean, Brighton was up for it for sure. And since Chelsea's not in Europe next year, it was great to see the elation on the Brighton sidelines and in the stands for them.
Yeah, that's huge for them for sure. Huge for them for sure. I think they'll be a force in Europa.
I did too.
When Enciso scored the absolute thunderbolt,
dude is a star.
Lauren was in a meeting, and I knew it too, right? And involuntarily, I went, "Holy!"
She was on the phone with me.
Oh, was that you?
Yeah,
I exclaimed out. I went, "Holy!" I remembered and covered my mouth because I was like, "Whoops!"
She was on the phone with me. I remember that. Yeah, dude's a star. I mean, you don't score the goals that he does without having some really impressive talent. I'm interested to see him continue to grow with Brighton, because I mean, we've seen
he's like 19.
They've done with McAllister, Caicedo. Even though Cuckoo's been terrible for Chelsea, what he did, what Cuckoo did at Brighton, what they've done with Levi Colwell on loan. Even Pascal Gross. I know I mentioned him last time. He came from German. He was German league. He was kind of unheralded, but he's been solid for them. And then oh God, who was the guy that Marsh? Yeah. So I mean, they not only do they scout well, but they develop, and I'm excited to see. I hate to see them get rated, but they're going to. But I'm excited to see what De Zerbi does, because Pep can't stop talking praise De Zerbi, and honestly, he's earned it. He's looked fantastic as a manager since Potter left.
I agree, absolutely. I heard someone say today that it might have been Robbie Earle on NBC talking about how when Potter was at Brighton, they weren't scoring a lot. Yeah. And then De Zerbi comes in, subtle change in style as far as possession goes. They create more chances, and they've been scoring more goals.
Yep.
I will say that I think the lack of Trossard being that he came to Arsenal in January, has kind of hindered their run in a little bit.
Yeah,
I know they hit Wolves for 6, but other than that, they've, I mean, and they got Arsenal for 3, I guess. But they have had some issues in front of goal, and I think that's why. If you take the Chelsea game, for example, they got kind of frustrated because of the low block, and then it was a wonder goal to win the game.
yeah, and
Um,
CISO.
yeah, they couldn't really break City down, and it was a wonder goal
Yeah,
to tie the game. And it's good when you have somebody that can do that, but you definitely want. And Ferguson he's a young talent, and he's looked pretty good so far. Still got a lot of developing to do,
yeah.
but I
Let's
think he'll be strong for him next season. But to really push, especially in Europe, especially playing extra games, they're gonna need to do everything they can to hang on to people,
yeah.
and also to um, add one or two things here and there to kind of get that goal scoring threat back.
I mean, if you think about the money infusion that they're going to see, one for finishing what sixth, and then of course being in Europe. I mean, I don't think they hold on to the big ones, but I think that they have such a great scouting team or whatever you want to call it, that they'll they won't find replacements, but they'll find good pieces to come in and kind of keep it running. I think that was the one thing, we look at what happened to Leicester specifically, with them probably going down, depending on what happens on Sunday. And, one of their issues was they ran out of talent because they didn't scout it well. When they had, um, who was it? Who was the manager? Ranieri, Claudio. Um, he had a style. It felt like that they kind of tried to stick with that style, even though you lost Conte, drink water, which we won't talk about that. And you brought in Iheanacho to play off of Vardy,
Vardy.
and they had Christian Fuchs at one point. He was playing in that midfield, and it just felt like the pieces started to not replace each other, and not in terms of talent, just fits.
Yeah.
And I feel like just looking at Enciso specifically, they have an eye for what they want. And with the way Deserby is, I'm really impressed with him as a manager. Um, I think that he's not going to let some guys leaving change the way they look next year. And there's a lot to say about that, because when you're a smaller club like Brighton is, you need somebody with that kind of acumen.
Mhm.
And if you can hold on to them, they can battle for Europe almost every year at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the teams that were in Europa League this season, um, Brighton would give them all a run
Oh yeah,
for sure. I mean, they beat us 3-0 at home. We were a Europa League team last season, so or last season I say, we're still in it.
it's
um,
been that long of a season.
it has been a long, long season,
It's all
and
because of the World Cup,
a
man.
successful one for Brighton. I expect that they'll be happy. And I don't think that they can. I don't think they can catch Liverpool. So I think they could put their feet up after this one. And it's not really a. Let me look at the table. I've got it pulled up. I could be wrong on that.
I don't think they
Brighton,
can.
no, they cannot reach Liverpool and cannot be reached by Villa, thus cementing them in sixth place. Yeah, they can
Which
put
is
their feet up.
amazing.
Hell of a season. They can put their feet up for the final day, like Manchester City, who, from their point of view, um, I thought that this wasn't like a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, they played down, they didn't play great, or whatever." I think that they did what Manchester City does. I mean, it was interesting to see Rodri in center defense. So
Yeah.
it was a little bit of a shakeup, but I thought that the players who came in still worked the system, and still put in, the drive and the performance you do expect from a Pep team. And I thought that at times they worked well. They worked through the press well. I thought Holland actually had a good game.
Yeah, I
Uh,
did too.
you could tell that he was, again, just absolutely desperate, desperate, wanting to score. And I expect he'll be playing versus Brentford.
Oh yeah,
As
me too.
so,
You gotta have him informed going into the FA Cup. You know, like Lewis has said, they've gotten used to playing every 3 days or 4 days or whatever it might be, and we're gonna have a week off here for them, so you really can't sit your top guys for 2 weeks straight. Um, and so I think we see a full squad. I think if we don't see a full squad, I mean, I don't think we see Kevin. I think he sits again. But
he
you
played
know,
most of this one, so yeah, he might sit.
yeah, I think he'll sit. But I will say, how did Holland's goal get called off? I don't remember, but I remember seeing it, and then they waved it off. Do you remember?
Yeah, because he manhandled Estupinian.
Well, I mean, he does that to everybody. So
I mean, he literally he grabbed his jersey and yanked him so hard that he spun him around. And I thought when I first saw the goal, I immediately was critical. I'm like, man, you're just gonna let him waltz in unmarked by himself in the six? Yeah, fair play, well done. And then I saw the replay. I was like, yeah, it's all clear now. It makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah.
And you're right. He just tosses people aside like they're rag dolls.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Dunks it in.
He was aggressive. He was aggressive in this one. Which I just don't think that there's another like switch for him. Like he just goes 100
Right.
all the time. Um, so, but it was a fun match. Now the one
Absolutely.
today, but
Yeah.
but no, it was. I really wish that there was something on the line for both of these teams when they played, because it had the matchup and the makings to be really really good. Um, so
Imagine
we
if
were a little
Arsenal
bit,
hadn't to messed it up and would have actually, this one would have meant something.
yeah. It had the makings to be something really really good. And I think that's the one thing I don't like about the end of the season. I mean, it's the whole idea of the season being over. Now, as a Chelsea fan, I'm so glad this season's over. I can't even express it. But we have these matchups where, I mean, that could have been a really, really good matchup 3 weeks ago. But
Yeah. Man U Fulham could have been a game. It's not
yeah,
really.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you look at this
Villa
weekend.
Brighton.
Villa, Brighton,
Villa Brighton would have been a
Brentford,
game.
City would have been something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Chelsea Newcastle should have.
should have, yeah. Um, we really only have one game this weekend that really matters, and it's Everton Bournemouth. And if
Yeah.
Everton take care of business, nothing else matters.
But then again, there have
Um,
been seasons where the final day it was everything.
right.
Where
Oh
all
yeah, yeah.
up for grabs.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think that's just the way this season has been. I think a lot of it is that the teams are in general are just tired. Um, I'm hopeful that the product we get next year, because I mean the thing is while the title race with y'all was fun to watch. It's just that other than that, it was just kind of everybody just kind of slotted in. Nobody really had to fight too much. Um, so um, so yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that this could have definitely been more exciting if it was definitely something to play for. Even though I did think that the game was still pretty exciting. And
Right.
if you agree, go ahead and smash up the like button, subscribe to the channel, and get that notification bell on. We will be back really, really soon.